Okay, so we got our first Rivian here at the shop, and actually this is the first Rivian that I've seen on the road, let alone that I've tinted. So I just want to give you guys a quick run through on this particular one is the R1S, so it's the SUV style, so a little bit different than the truck, and I couldn't find much content online on the SUV as far as tinting it. I found a couple videos on the pickup truck, which is, the windows are a little bit different. So I just thought I'd give a quick walkthrough on the R1S. So if you want to come to the back. So I've gone ahead, this was a complete tint job. So it did have the factory tint on the back windows. The customer wanted to darken that up to give a little more privacy in the back. So we're doing 35% around the back over the factory tint, and 35% also on the two front windows, which didn't have any factory tint on them at all. So I'm going to start with the back window here. It is pretty standard. The gate lifts up here. See if I can get it to open on its own. So it's a fixed piece of glass. I didn't know if it was going to do something funky, like, you know, roll down, or some of these gates, the glass itself will pop out. But yeah, this whole thing pops up, and the glass is fixed here, and so it has a nice gap all the way around. Little cutout for the brake light, and that's pretty much it. So it's pretty standard as far as the back window goes. It's got the defroster lines on it, so I used the scrub pad to clean it. And then on the outside, you know, has a slight curve to it. The only pain is that this windshield wiper, it's one of those styles that even if you unclip this, it only wants to come out this far. So you just have to kind of work around that for this lower section when you're shrinking it. Other than that, pretty standard, pretty straightforward. So moving on to the quarter windows. Again, these are pretty standard for a quarter window. You have the, looks like probably the antenna on the inside of the glass there. So again, I used the white scrub pad to clean the inside. And then it had also a decent gap around the outside, nothing really tricky about these. Even the seat belt is set back a little bit. Sometimes you get the seat belt like here, right in the middle. It's kind of hard to work around on the inside, like placing the film on. But yeah, the seatbelt is kind of out of the way there. So yeah, no issues. Quick shrink on the outside, and then, you know, lots of room. The install is pretty straightforward on the inside. The back doors, so they have a nice big, you know, back door glass here, almost perfectly square. Not a lot of curve to these side windows. And then you have the quarter glass here. And sometimes these can get a little funky, but as you can see here, it actually has this black border all the way around. So you're not even really dealing with a seal along this edge. It's got a border all the way around. So really nice for, you know, again, quick shrink on the outside. And then you can put your piece on the inside here and just make sure that there's no gaps, and it goes down really nice. So simple, straightforward quarter window on these. And then again, pretty straightforward. I think on the video I saw the back door of the R1T, the pickup truck, the rear door panel kind of kicked up like this and sort of came over the window. So the guy in the video was removing the door panel just to get better access there. But on this one, you can see the door panel is nice and straight, no issues. So I just left it as is. This pillar here, you know, is a little thicker than some, but nothing that you can't work around. It's, you know, again, pretty straightforward for a side door. So again, no issues there. So I'm going to go ahead and tint this driver window, and then this little quarter window here. All the other windows are done now. This is our last door to do. So I'll go ahead and start that. So I'm just going to put the window down a little bit. And the nice thing about the Rivian is that it actually if you have the key in the proximity, there's no ignition for these. So you just get in, it knows the key is in there, and you know, you just put it in drive and go, but no need to turn on an ignition. It doesn't time out or anything on you. It's kind of one of my pet peeves when I'm tinting cars is when I'm on the other side and the ignition times out and I gotta come over to the driver's side, hit the ignition button to turn on accessories so that I can, you know, power the windows and be able to move the windows up and down. But this Rivian just kind of knows when you're there, and it actually does time out, but as soon as you hit the window switch, it knows that you're there, so it turns the accessories back on automatically for you, which is kind of cool. So I'm just going to wipe down the outside here, go along the top edge of the window, and put in the inside. Again, this side window is pretty standard. A nice small trim piece here, and then a little larger frame on the back side there to work with. And the quarter window on the front is the same as the quarter window on the back. It has the black trim around the outside, so you're not dealing with any seals. The tint's just going to kind of sit over that black trim all the way around the outside there, so you have a little gap all the way around. So once you place your tint and you just make sure you don't have any gaps, it's just a matter of squeegeeing it and tacking it, and you're good to go. So it's got a bit of a, you know, it's got a thick rubber seal along the top there. So what I'm going to do is I use my straight razor blade, and then I'm going to give it a wipe with my microfiber cloth, because sometimes you get like a weird residue from that rubber seal along the top edge of the window. So I'm just going to make sure that's nice and clean. And then the rest of it, just going to scrape. Sounds nice and clean. When the window's dirty, or you know, usually you can hear the blade kind of clicking, or you know, taking that stuff off of the windows. It sounds like it's nice and clean, so there we go. Water. And then, even though this car is brand new, I like to take my microfiber, I just use a gold triangle, wrap it around it, and then shove the corner in past the seal and get it, like, jam it right in there past the seal so that it grabs any dirt that might want to come out when you're tinting. And then I wipe that trim piece there along the side, on both sides, just in case the film hits it. At least it's been wiped and it's nice and clean, so it won't pick up any dirt. And then I got a black and white squeegee that I just kind of trimmed down, just did a little triangle with it, and that's just for these little corner windows that are kind of hard to reach, especially with a full-size squeegee. So I just trim that down so it's nice and small. Get those little quarter windows. Angles. Alright. And then I use the big one for the big window. Again, I try and get right in past that seal. have any water that's coming down off the top edge there. Okay. Perfect. And then I'm going to give it a little wipe across the top of the door panel. Make sure that's nice and clean. And I always have a look at it from the outside too. Sometimes you see stuff on the outside that just different lighting you might not see on the inside. Looks good, there's no smudges, it's ready to go. Over here, I'll do my corner window first. So I like to use the bigger window for shrinking, and this would probably go on without any shrinking, but I'm gonna heat up the bottom edge quickly, just kind of do like one little finger there. But I use this window because it has the same curve as this glass, but there's just a lot more room here to work with. So I'll just kind of create one little finger at the bottom there, just to make sure that it does sit snug when I get it on that little quarter glass. I don't want to be having to stick the heat gun in there and shrinking a finger, so I just do it there. That way it fits nice and tight. Soap and water on the glass, some on the film. And then, as you can see, there's just a good amount of space all the way around. So it just kind of lays right on there, nice and easy. And then again, I'll use my little squeegee here. Make sure there's no gap anywhere. Good to go. That's it for that one. Spray this and bring over my other piece. Okay. So I laid on with about a 1/2 inch gap down the side, and then about the same, maybe 1/2 inch along the bottom. And then I kind of tighten up this top side here by tacking it down. And I try and push all the slack down to this bottom edge here where we're going to shrink it. Shrink these fingers, and then I always like to create some fingers too and kind of double shrink these side windows. I kind of do this on all windows now. Anything I have to shrink, I like to create fingers and sort of over shrink it, because I find that less chance that one of these fingers pops up when you get the film on the inside. The last thing you want is for a finger to pop up on the inside, because then, you know, with that soap and water that comes back in there, it's pulling in dirt too. And then, you know, you'll see that dirt. You can hit it with your squeegee, but then by that time it's probably too late. It's probably pulled some dirt in with it. So by doing this and over shrinking it or double shrinking it, you basically make sure that that's all nice and tight along that bottom edge there, so that when you get it on the inside, it goes down first shot and there's no issues with it, you know, fingering up or pulling in any dirt. and you don't have to worry about getting your heat gun out again on the inside and, you know, doing any damage to any of the door panels or seals on the inside or anything like that. So I always like to over shrink on the outside and then get it down first shot on the inside. Okay. Just gonna pump it over here onto the pillar a little bit so it's easier to peel the outside layer. And again, some of these cars get a little funky. This one, I was a little worried because I've never done one before, but this one, not bad at all. There's a decent amount of room on these windows. The seals aren't crazy tight. I would say the worst thing to deal with is these, you know, side pillars are a little on the big side, but nothing that you haven't seen before on other cars. So nothing, you know, nothing too crazy for a funky new electric vehicle that I'm a little bit worried about. In well past the seal, and then you can see where you want your film to line up here. So I'm just kind of edging it back so that my corner lines up there, and then I know I'm in the right spot. And then I can just double check on the outside, make sure that there's no gap on the outside. I stick my little gold triangle in past the seal there, just make sure both sides there's no gap and I can't see that gold triangle. And then I'll get my blue maps here and start at the top and just tack it down. Nice small gap there so that, you know, it looks as close to factory as possible. Go along the top edge, make sure all that water's out, it just doesn't sit in there and seep down on you. And once that top is all tapped, I'll just take the gold triangle, work my way from the top of the seal down, again about halfway. Just want to make sure that whole top half is tacked before I put the window up. Did I lie to you? To you. The window button does not turn the accessories on. There we go. And hit unlock. Alright, it's all the way up. Black and white, I'll just pull this bottom edge up. Even this bottom seal is not super tight. It's, you know, kind of falls in there like a typical truck would, so nothing too challenging. Just kind of get both bottom corners in where you want them. A little extra. There. And yeah, the patterns, so I'm using core for my window patterns, and for this vehicle, like all these patterns were bang on, exactly how you want them to be. There's no issues with them. I just started using this handle on the Blue Max, and so I'm kind of used to using just the Blue Max, like, you know, holding it in my hand, but you get a lot better leverage with this. Get like even pressure across the blade, and I find that it gets more water out from behind the film, so I'm just kind of getting used to the handle, but it works well. And just go over it a couple times around the edges, make sure that push all that water out, give it a wipe down. I know I don't cover my door panels with anything. That's just kind of what I've always done. So I know I get the panel a little bit wet, but I try to wipe it a couple times, excuse me, a couple times as I'm doing it, so that, you know, the water's not on there long and, you know, it doesn't affect the door panel. Give it a good wipe down at the very end so that it's nice and dry. There's no like residue or anything like that on it. Even the, you know, switchway there, just so that, you know, no water sits in there. And that's it. That's 35% all the way around on the Rivian. I'm gonna give it a little show you here. One last touch. So what I do is I use like a little torch here, and I just kind of come down this edge and just heat it up a little bit. And then I'll run like a pink chiseler or one of these little chiselers down the edge, and just make sure that it's sitting down nice the way we want it. You can push out any little pockets of water. And then I'll do the same down this edge. Heat up the corner. Right down that seal, and just make sure that, yeah, there's no water sitting in there. Everything looks nice. But she's all done. Now we'll just let it sit, check it over before the customer comes, and we're good to go. So hope this was helpful. Yeah, hit the like button if this helps you out. And I think the next one we're going to do for this customer actually is one of those new Fisker Ocean, which again, never done it before, and I can't find much content online, especially about tinting them and the style of windows that it has. I can see pictures of it and kind of guess, but yeah, when I get that one in, I'll do a video on that one as well, because that one should be interesting. But yeah, that's it for this one, and we'll see you on the next one.